Next, we'll be adding an enemy chase and hit system. This will be kind of a bit of a more complex AI than what we made so far, where the enemy is just moving around. So this will be very interesting. First, let's go to the enemy blueprint. So we go to third person blueprints and open the enemy blueprint. And go to the viewport. And in here, let's create a new component and we'll add a sphere collision. Detection collision. And we will set the size to 320. And we will move the location a little bit and set the X value to 320. And so now it's in front of the enemy. So it's kind of like a vision where the enemy sees in this area. And we scroll down and set the collision presets to overlap only pawn. So it only detects pawns, which is basically the player. And then we scroll down, and over here, we will select on component begin overlap. We'll move that down here. And here, we will take the other actor and cast to pp_player. So we check if it's the player. And then we press print. Press save, compile. And now let's test this. Let's press play. And now, as we can see, we're getting a print when enemy sees the player. But nothing's happening right now, so let's go back and let's remove the print string and we will promote the player to a variable. Let's set that to just player. Press save, compile. And now let's create a new function. And I want to do it above the defeated function. So we move this all down because this function will be similar to the moving around function. So I want to keep it close to each other. So here we'll create a custom event and we call it chase player. And we'll just keep it as is for now and go back to the overlap event. After we set the player, we will chase player. So basically, when the enemy sees the player, it will start chasing the player. So we go to the chase function, and in here, we will get the move to location task. And for that, we'll need a controller. So we will get self reference. And then from that, we will get AI controller and connect that to the controller here. And now we connect it also to the chase player. And now, as a goal, we can put in the player as a reference. So we get that and connect it to here. And so now the enemy will chase the player. So we save, compile, and press play. And now the enemy starts to chase after us. But as you can see, he's kind of like losing interest and just going away. The reason that's happening is because here it's still running this. Even though we're interrupting it with that, on fail, we'll keep making it go through the loop. So we'll remove this and press save and compile. And now, when we press play, the enemy will continuously start to follow the player forever. And we will never stop. So we want to change that where if we get too far away, the enemy would stop chasing us. So we do this by going back to the viewport and we select this detection collision. We scroll down and then this time we select the on component and overlap. And again here we will cast to bp_player. And this will basically check when something exits the collision, which in this case the player, we will reset back to moving around. So we call the move around function. Press save, compile, and now when the enemy chases us and we get too far away, he stops chasing us. Next, we want to add a system where when the enemy is chasing us and the enemy gets close enough to us, it will hit us and give us damage. So we'll go back to the viewport, and in here, once again, in the components section, we'll create another sphere collision. And this time we'll call this hit collision. And we'll set the sphere radius to 20 and the location to 40. So it's around here where its mouth is. So it's basically like attacking with its mouth. And then below, once again, in the collision presets, we will select to overlap only pawn. And then we go down, and in here, we'll select on component, begin overlap. We'll move this around a bit. And then again, we'll cast to BP_player. Save and compile. And here we'll call the function getHit. And like we before made the system where we'd pass through the actor that hit the player, here we'll once again get the self-reference. Save and compile, and press play. And now, when the enemy hits us, they will start to give us damage. And that way we can get a game over from enemies. But we have an issue now where when we are defeating an enemy, there's still a chance where their collision can still hurt us after we defeat them, as you can see just now what we saw. So we go back to the defeated function, and after do once, we make sure the hit collision, we get that, and we make sure that the collision no longer works after the enemy gets defeated. So we set collision enabled, and here we will set it to no collision. And connect that here and there. Move this a bit. And then we organize that. And now we save and compile. And now we will not get hit anymore, even after we defeat the enemy. And they're still in their defeating animation. The hit collision will not affect us. We have another issue now. When we go and check the game and the enemy hits us, sometimes they will just stop going around. And that's because after it hits us, sometimes they reach their destination when they get very close to us. And so what we want to do is when it finishes the chase, we have to make sure to keep chasing. But before we do that, let's add a small delay here. Set it to 1 second. And then we, once again, chase the player. And now when we save and compile and press play, and the enemy is chasing us, they will keep chasing us forever. You see there, it stopped a bit, but then it kept chasing. But there's an issue now where if it stops chasing us and we're very far away, it will keep chasing us and it won't know that we have already left the collision. So we will create a Boolean that will check if the player is still visible. So we'll write here is seeing player ? And we will add this to the collision overlap over here, where after we detected the player, we will set the is seeing player to true, and then we chase the player. And once the player has left the collision, we will set that to false, and then go back to moving around. And so, when we go back to the chase player, after the delay, before we chase again, we will make sure to check if we should chase again. So we'll get this and check is seeing player true, and we call a branch, connect that to here, and only if it's true, we will keep chasing the player. And we will do the same thing also over here with the move around function, where after the delay, there might be a chance that the enemy saw the player and they are chasing the player. So we don't want to interrupt that and then move around. So over here, we have to get is seeing, and we do not Boolean to check if it's not true, and then get a branch. And only in the case of it not being true, we will continue moving around. And we press play, and now it's all working correctly. And we go around, stops chasing us, and then if he sees us, starts chasing us again. And it's all working very well. And we have a nice, proper enemy AI system where they chase us around, move around, and also hit us. And finally, before we're finished, let's put them all into comments, these functions. So we put this and go to chase player, pull that down, and we select this and we call it detection collision begin. Copy that, and then we do it here too, and then we move the begin and move that down. And we select this, and then we call it hit detection. Save and compile. And that's it for this lesson.